But there isn't a provision where the ballots would be turned over to challengers and told, here, go ahead and count those, so there would be no hands-on contact.
Sir?
Yeah.
I don't think that's what we're asking.
Okay.
At 168.733, Section 1 says, examine without handling each ballot as it's being counted. Keep records of votes cast and other election procedures as the challenger desires. And we're not being given an opportunity to do that because these ballots are being fed into this machine and a tally is being taken. We're not being allowed to examine each ballot without handling as it's being counted and keep records of votes cast. And the statute says that challengers are permitted to do that. Section 168.733, Section 1, F, G, and H.
Repeated that, the election official processes the vote as required. The challengers may watch but may not impede the process of completing your work as the election official. And that's what they can do. They can keep whatever records they wish, but they aren't to impede the election official in their work. They may observe as, being conducted.
Well, we're not going to get any place tonight because that's unsatisfactory because we're not being allowed to examine each ballot as it's being counted, whether we handle it or not, and we know we're not supposed to, but we're not being able to do that because, for one thing, the ballots that were cast today were put inside that machine and tallied, and they ain't coming out because the clerks say they're not taking them out. They just leave them in there.
No, we don't take. We take them out of the machine and we lock them into a canister.
All right, they're going to take them out of the machine and lock them up, but they're not going to count them. They've already counted them on that tally machine, so we're not going to be able. Nobody here, and I'm not saying it's their fault, nobody here is going to be able to comply with this statute.
Well,
do you agree?
I don't really have anywhere further to go with this,
Well, my question is then, when can we look at a paper ballot, not touch it, but yet, so we can view it, we need to be closer than 10 feet away. When can we look and tally a ballot?
Or a canvassers meeting.
No. At the canvassers meeting, don't they make a decision of whether or not to hand count or count by machine?
I don't have any other information for you.
And if I have to talk to you again, you will be removed.
We're talking quietly, and we'd like you to abide by Section 3, says candidates or persons interested in a ballot question, their counsel, watcher, and talliers shall be allowed to observe each ballot as it is called and take notes if they desire for their own records.
Are we recounting the ballot question? No, we are not.
It's under the recount laws.
We are not recounting a ballot question here today. So if you want me to look at a section of law, you'll need to first research.
No, interested in the ballot question. The ballot question is that there is a recount and these ballots are questionable.
That's not the interpretation of law.
You can't nullify interpretation.
Sue McCrill, the representative from the Michigan Secretary of State who is running this recount, disallowed 11 precincts for improperly attached seals on the ballot containers. 14 precincts were not counted due to the number of ballots in the container that did not agree with the number of ballots listed in the poll books. 25 out of close to 50 precincts were not counted. The seal from Fillmore Township was only brought up tight enough to keep it from falling apart, allowing someone to clip it and go into the container, then pull it up tight so no one would ever know the container had been compromised. Someone did exactly that on the seal from Wayland Township, but you can tell because the smooth end of the seal is missing. The interesting point about these two seals is the fact that both Wayland and Fillmore Townships were both accepted by Miss McCrill as being okay by someone who disallowed 11 other seals. Non-countable precincts have a 1 in the far right column, and both Fillmore and Wayland Townships have no mark at all in the far right column, so the Secretary of State accepted both precincts. Allegan County has always been a strong Republican county, so when 2/3 of the precincts found not to be countable are strong Democratic areas, and this includes 10 out of 14 cities, one needs to question the results of this election. Under what authority does the Secretary of State run elections in Michigan as they do in all other states within our country? In Michigan, the legislature created a law stating MCL 168.21, Secretary of State, Chief Election Officer, Powers and Duties. The Secretary of State shall be the Chief Election Officer of the state and shall have supervisory control over local election officials in the performance of their duties under the provisions of this Act. Authority is given to government departments to run elections by the legislature. But under what authority did the legislature get the right to appoint the Secretary of State and local government officials to run elections? To answer that, we go to the Michigan Constitution. Place and manner of elections. The legislature shall enact laws to regulate the time, place, and manner of all nominations and elections except as otherwise provided in this Constitution or in the Constitution and laws of the United States. The final authority in the land is the U.S. Constitution, and it only deals with elections in one place, the election of the President and Vice President. This section is very telling about what the Founding Fathers thought about government having anything to do with elections. Article 2, Section 1 states, quote, "Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in the Congress. But," and this is the big but that we're looking for, "but no senator or representative or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector." Government offices of trust are the local election officials who are running elections in the Department of the Secretary of State. Current medium to large businesses run all over the world use the very same logic as our Founding Fathers in safeguarding the assets of their businesses by separating those who handle the assets from those who account for the assets. Government officials control our assets, and we should be accounting for them. Who then should be running elections? Answer: the people. As a political candidate in several local elections and the Green Party's nominee for U.S. Congress against Fred Upton in the 6th Congressional District in Michigan, I have standing to go to the Michigan Supreme Court with a complaint for a writ of quo warranto, asking, under what authority does government have to run elections? While I can point to the U.S. Constitution to show a conflict of interest, I can also show the Secretary of State has abused its election authority to allow election judges to opt out of filing their campaign finance reports. This one act is the major reason that our court systems no longer rule on the law but use judicial discretion. Elected officials can take bribes in the form of campaign finance contributions directly into a tax-free account and use them for any purpose they so desire, as long as they can claim it has some connection to their campaign, because nobody ever checks. Citizens do have the right to see and examine those reports under the Freedom of Information Act, because they are not specifically excluded from the law. The lower courts are always allowed to rule by discretion, as long as their decisions fits into a principled set of outcomes. Decisions not falling within a principled set of outcomes are called, quote, an abuse of discretion, end of quote. This is not sufficient to have a judge disqualified from a case. The U.S. Supreme Court in Caperton v. Massey established the standard for disqualification. You must have both an abuse of discretion along with an extraordinary circumstance. To the average citizen looking for justice in our system, this means we have the best justice in elections that money can buy. This is not a country for people without money to live, yet money has never grown a tomato, built a house, or fixed a plumbing problem. People do that, and without them, money has no real value. To correct these problems, help support the legal effort by going to WMNC.biz and subscribe to our efforts to take elections away from the government. Then go to vvvotes.org, where Voter Verified Elections, an IRC 501c3 nonprofit, is working to establish elections where the voter can verify that their vote is within a countable, official database correctly as they voted it, and ballots contain information on candidates and issues to aid you in making a more informed vote. This service can be used by the citizens to run their own elections using our software, which will be open source software. Make your vote count. Go today to Voter Verified Elections at vvvotes.org. Thank you.